Hey everybody, and welcome back to another video. Now in today's video, I'm going to be diving into the topic of the best sports for sensory seekers. So if you are a parent out there, or maybe even another therapist, and you're working with a family and they're trying to figure out exactly what to do with their child because their child is a sensory seeker and what sports they should put them in or what activities, this is the video for you. But before we dive into that, if you are a fan of learning all about child development, early childhood, sensory processing, and all of those topics, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you know whenever I upload a new video. But getting into today's topic, let me first break down what a sensory seeker is, just in case someone's watching and you've never even heard of that term before. Also, I have went into detail about sensory seeking and tips for sensory seekers and other videos, so I'll link those in the description box below. But for the purposes of this video, I'll just give a very brief overview. So basically, a sensory seeker or a sensory seeking individual is just a person who needs a lot more input to their bodies in order for them to kind of feel calm and feel regulated and feel ready to learn, ready to play, and ready to go. So this may look like a child who's constantly like moving. They're always on the go. They're seeking a lot of movement all the time. This could be a child that's constantly like loud and humming and singing, and they may be constantly seeking some of that auditory input. This may also be the child that is constantly putting things into their mouth all the time. They may be what's called oral seeking. So there are different types and different varieties of types of sensory input that a child or an individual may be craving, may be seeking to help them feel more calm and regulated. But for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to be speaking about sensory seekers in general. So we're going to be learning about my favorite recommendations as far as which sports are highly recommended for kids who are sensory seekers. So first up on the list is swimming. Now swimming is such a great sensory experience and is such a great sport for kids who are sensory seekers for many reasons. So swimming, first off, it works all of the muscles, right? It's working our arms, it's working our legs, it's working our core, our abs, our trunk, our neck, everything. So all muscles are engaged when a child is involved in swimming. Also, swimming is very, very good for learning breath control, because obviously you got to learn how to hold your breath and know when to release your breath. And so learning that breath control is also very regulating for individuals and children. And in addition to that, just the feel of the cool water itself is a whole sensory experience all by itself, just being in the water. And you know how sometimes you kind of float and the water kind of seems to like bounce you in a bit? That is all very calming and very regulating for a lot of children. And on top of that, swimming is just a great workout altogether. So if you have a child that's like bonkers and all over the place and you're looking for a sport to put them in, I would recommend swimming. My next recommendation of a sport for a child who's a sensory seeker is gymnastics. Now, if you have a child that is constantly running and climbing and jumping and rolling and doing all these acrobatic type things anyway in the house, you might as well sign them up for some type of gymnastics class where they can do all of those things but with more structure and with more function. And so I highly recommend a gymnastics class if you find that your child is a sensory seeker. Not only does it involve all the muscles again, it also helps kids with learning how to pay attention, how to follow instructions, and even how to imitate others' actions. So this is something that if you're looking for a way to improve your child's attention as well, I would definitely recommend gymnastics. Now, depending on how old your child is, another recommendation may be wrestling. I know children as young as maybe like what, 4 or 5 that they've been involved in like little kiddie wrestling tournaments. And obviously the intent is just to really get some of that input into the muscles to learn different body positions. And it really helps build up that strength, upper body strength. It helps build up those core muscles, and it helps with that social engagement and learning social participation. So depending on how old your child is and just depending on who they are as an individual, some kids may actually really thrive from wrestling. My next recommendation is martial arts. Now, martial arts could include things like karate, taekwondo, like all of those things. And the reason why I recommend it is because your child is learning very controlled, precise movements. So it's really helping them with their body coordination, it's helping them with balance, it's helping them with motor planning and learning how to put their bodies in different positions. And also it's learning discipline, right? To be in karate or any type of martial arts program, you definitely have to be disciplined, and that's something that they're big on and they thrive on that. So if you're looking for a way to not only get your child moving, but also help them learn some coordination and some body awareness, then highly recommend martial arts as an option for you. Now, my next recommendation, some of you may battle and some of you may disagree that whether it's a sport or not, but don't do that, because I know in my heart that it's a sport because I was involved in it. So like it or not, I consider it a sport, and that is dance. Dance is a sport. It's definitely a workout for sure. There are so many components when it comes to dance, and it's so great for sensory seekers because now you're not only involving the movements of your body, but you're also watching an instructor or a teacher trying to imitate those movements. And then you're putting those movements to different types of music. Then you're learning how to pace your body. Should we dance fast? Are the movements kind of slow? Are they more like rigid? Are they more flowy? So it's a lot of that motor imitation. It's a lot of coordination that's involved. And now you're adding another sensory component, which is that music or that auditory piece. So combining all of those skills together really makes dance a great sport activity for children who are sensory seekers. And just like all the other ones, it's also a great workout. And finally, another sport activity or sportish activity that I recommend for sensory seekers is horseback riding. Horseback riding is huge among the sensory community because it just really helps to regulate most children. Think about the texture of the horse. Think about how the horse feels when it's trotting through the paths, and you can kind of get some vestibular or some movement input in your body. It's also like that proprioceptive or working your muscles, because you have to sit upright and really work those core and engage those core muscles if you want to stay on the horse. Also, just think about like the smell, right? Sometimes it's not that pleasant, but horseback riding is just an amazing sensory experience all in and of itself. And not only that, it's also so great for regulation. I've heard so many stories about how horses really pick up on the emotions of a child, and the child can kind of really like have that social engagement and have that feedback and really be calm and gentle, and just pets in general, right? Like that's how most people feel when they're around pets in general, but horses especially. That's why they also have something out there that's called hippotherapy, which is kind of like therapy for children, but it involves horses. So that's something else that I would highly recommend that you look into if your child is a sensory seeker. Now, just throwing this out there, obviously your child does not have to be a sensory seeker to enroll in these sports. Anybody honestly can enroll in these sports, children and adults, and can get a lot of benefit from all of these different types of sports. So the most important thing is that you find what really works best for your child, because you want to have your child engage in a more purposeful and engaging sensory experience, but you also want it to be a positive one at that. So let me know in the comments below if you have a favorite sport that you're thinking about putting your child in, or if any of the sports that I've mentioned are things that you've already put your child in, and let me know how did it work out for them. If you're a parent who's watching, I hope you found this video to be helpful, and I hope it gave you some ideas for some structured sport activities to put your child in. If you're a therapist or another professional out there, please share this video with a parent who you think may benefit. And thank you guys so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up, and until the next one, bye.